All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to VOC special panel discussion with these three lovely ladies, Maria, Lily, and Sung Sung. Welcome, guys. Tonight we will be discussing about your trip to Chin State. So let us begin with our introduction. Can you please briefly just share about your upbringing, education, and current role or job that you're doing right now?
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria. I'm currently residing in Indianapolis with my family. I finished school with a social work major and I got my master's degree in 2022. And I'm currently working as a case manager at a refugee resettlement agency. Thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lily. I am originally from Shanghai, but I came to the United States when I was 7 years old. I currently reside in the states of Missouri, and I have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And right now, I am working as an RN in a hospital. Thank you.
Hi everyone. First off, I want to thank God for this moment as it's such a blessing to be here with all of you today. I also want to thank the VOC team for having us here and giving us a chance to share our experience with you. So a little bit about me. My name is Long Chin Sung, but I go by Sung Sung. I am originally from Rouen in Chin State, and now I live in Iowa, Des Moines. Currently, I am pursuing a master's degree at Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. Aside from that, I work part-time as a student leader at the seminary. I help organize events, connect with students, and create a welcoming environment where students feel safe and supported. Again, I'm really excited to be here. Really looking forward to today's conversation, and thank you for having me.
So the first question I just want to ask is, what is the trip for, and how did it came about, and what was your experience?
The trip that we call is called the Chinland Project. It was organized by CBCUSA Youth Department. There were 19 of us who went on a trip, and the vision or mission or main goal of that trip was to connect the youth in the US and the youth in the Chinland, especially for the youth in the US to connect with our own roots, stay in touch with our culture and our people back in Chinland. We went there in June 2024, this summer. We were there for 3 weeks, and during those 3 weeks, we visited IDP's camp, and we were also at a base Camp Victoria called Chinland City. We spent our time there exploring, observing the base and the people and our brothers and sisters who are fighting in this revolution. And then we got to talk to them. We got to observe how they run the school, how they run the hospital. That's just a brief of our trip. Thank you.
Do you guys see this as a long-term goal? How do you see yourself contributing to the future of the Chinland?
Um, So my long-term goal is to go back to Chinland whenever I can. I would like to help provide basic hygienic health education to the people in rural area and villages where it is harder to get access to healthcare. I would also love to get into connections that are related to healthcare, help them as much as I can. And I am going to do my best to raise a in awareness whenever I can, even if that's through online or going there physically. So those are my long-term goals. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Elvin. So my long-term goal for this project or for the Chinland is to bring God word to our people. I believe that sharing the gospel and helping people grow in their faith is one of the most important thing I can do as of right now. I see the need of hope, peace, and healing in Chin State, and I feel called to be part of that. So right now I'm still a student. There are days when I feel like I don't have enough experience or resources to make a big difference. But I am learning, I'm growing, and I'm doing what I can with what I have right where I am. So as of right now, I think it is important to do what I can do, whether it is through a personal connection, sharing the word of encouragement, or just being there for our people. Eventually, I want to be more involved in ministry, especially in Chinland. I want to see people come to know God and experience the hope and love that only He can bring.
I know your background is healthcare. I know you're a nurse. So going back there, what did you reflect on, and what were you passionate about based on your background?
So, as I mentioned earlier, since I do have an experience working in healthcare as a nurse, I obviously entered the healthcare field because of my upbringing and the poverty experiences that I've experienced growing up here. So I wanted to help people with limited access to healthcare and providing healthcare education in underserved areas. So when I saw the opportunity to go back to Chinland through CBCUSA, I wanted to apply and go there and do as much as I can. I wasn't able to do a lot of hands-on with the healthcare, even with like providing care or like any education. We did a lot of observation, but we did talk to a lot of healthcare smaller organizations and hospitals. And what I saw was that a lot of the clinics and hospital have limited resources in everything, whether it is through medical supplies or with aides like nursing assistants, nurses, and provider. And so seeing that, I wish that I could do more. I don't know how though, but I'm hoping that I could get into connection with other organizations that are related to healthcare in providing the resources that they need.
All right, let's turn to Sung Sung.
Yeah, there are a few areas that I'm passionate about, and they're very personal to me because they're rooted in what I experienced and seen in the Chinland. And if God allow, I want to be able to go back and disciple women soldier in Chinland. My heart is especially for them because of what I saw and the challenge that they face physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And one thing I would love to do is to divide them into a small group, let a Bible study with them where we can study the Word of God and pray together and encourage one another. I would really love to be a part of guiding them, helping them grow spiritually. And, I don't have all the answer, but I believe that through prayer, discipleship, and living out God's words, we can bring some hope and healing in their life. And I would also love to help these women see how God can use their pain into His glory.
Thank you for sharing. And why did you decide to return to Chinland? And what motivated you on that decision, despite being having like other challenges?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I decided to go back to Chinland because it's something I always wanted to do, even before the coup happened. There's just a deep love for Chinland, the culture, and most of all the people. I always felt a strong connection to my roots, and I've been carrying that desire to return back home for a long time. So one other reason why I want to go back is to experience and see for myself what my people are going through. But what really pushed me to make that decision was seeing so many young people giving up their lives for our country, and many of them were under 20 years old, just kids really. So seeing that risking everything, fighting for a future, really motivated me to go back home.
I have always wanted to take a mission trip as a young girl. I didn't know how or where I got that inspiration from, but I think I was in third or fourth grade. I had a dream of going on a trip to poor country and as a nurse working with children. I think maybe I might have been inspired by UN workers, that are helping civilians who are suffering from war. So I think I got that inspiration from that. And then I decided to return to Chinland or join this trip for two reasons. One is to go back and help my people, because now I'm not saying I am an expert in my field as a social worker, but I do believe that the job experience that I have and the skill that I have can be helpful, even just for a little bit for my own people. And I was very confident to go back, meet my people, and then see what I can do for them and help them in the area that they are needing. The second reason is I have never been to Chinland, so I believe that this trip will help me understand my own people and the culture, because since I have never been there, I am having a hard time understanding my own culture to a deeper level. Sometimes I don't even know Chin jokes, I would say. So it was like just small little things that might be nothing to other people, that is a big thing for me. Even though I may speak Hakachin, I do still have accents. I'm trying my best to connect with my culture and root. However, going back there will help me understand and actually witnessing or seeing with my own eyes of how people live in the villages. Thank you.
Yes, for me, I wanted to go back to Chinland because that's where I was born. I always wanted to go back to learn more about my root, my culture, and my people. And I've always been curious about how things have changed after we migrate to the States, since it has been more than 18 years. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to go back also to learn more about the healthcare system in Chinland, how I can kind of like help or contribute to help improve it, and also compare it to like how the healthcare system works here in the West and in Chinland. So
Okay, so how does being on the ground changes your perspective on what needs to be done when you see it?
So being on the ground really helps you see the reality, seeing the soldiers, yourself, interacting with the locals, and just seeing people's everyday life that you don't really get to see in the news. It really helps you see the reality. You know, those little interaction changes you and motivates you to do better in your everyday life as well. It's kind of very overwhelming when you're actually in there because there is a lot that needs to be done, but at the same time you don't know where to start or how to help. So being on the ground really do help you see the reality, and I think everyone should have an opportunity to one day go back and see it themselves.
All right, Maria, I would also want to ask you the same thing. How does being on the ground changes your perspective on what needs to be done?
I would say back in 2022 or 3, I don't remember. I think 23. I visited, people call it Palestine or Israel. I visited there and I saw a young man at the rest area. He was a soldier for part of Israel. We were just chatting and then I found out that he was born and raised in the United States, but he went back there to serve in the military. And at that time, I didn't really understand why would a American born young boy would go back and serve in a different country. But after going back or being on the ground, that changes my perspective. It makes me realize the needs of contributions of all the Chin people around the world to do whatever they can for the Chinland. Oh, I don't live in Chinland. I was born and raised in outside of the country. Like, we cannot take that as an excuse to disassociate ourselves from our roots. So I would say that being on the ground changed my perspective on how much of impact that would make if all the Chin people around the world contribute whatever we can for our Chinland. Thank you.
So being on the ground changed everything for me. It is an eyes-opening experience that completely shifted my perspective on what needs to be done. Before going back to Chinland, I always thought that the money we sent, the support from our community, churches, and organization here in US would be more than enough to help our people. We hear a lot about the donation and think it's a significant amount, but when I was actually there, I realized how wrong I was. The money that I thought was a lot doesn't go nearly as far as I imagined. What I want to say is that it was not enough money to cover everything. And one of the most difficult things to see was the soldier living condition in Chinlong. The food that they eat is heartbreaking. It is nothing but hard rice with a small amount of tatu and a little dal soup that you can barely even see the dal in. So that really opened my eyes. There's simply not enough to provide them with food, medicine, and basic living condition they need. When I saw it firsthand, I understood that no matter how much we send, it will never be enough to cover all the needs. We need to push harder, raise more awareness, and contribute more. We just really have to do our part and do anything that can raise more money. And also, it's not just about the money. I also saw how much we need more than just soldier on the ground. Just as we need brave young people who fight for our country, I realized how much we need other who can help in different way. People who can support the war in other critical areas. We need more than just financial support, and we need people who are willing to contribute their time, their skills, and their energy in whatever way they can.
Okay, Lily, before going back to Chinland, what did you expect and how did the reality differ from those expectations? And how did you adapt when things didn't go as planned?
So I did not have much expectations. I didn't think much of anything. I was just like, I'm just gonna go there and see. But I will say that I did have some like unsure mixed feelings in regards to the food and the toilet situation and like the accommodation, just because here in the state, obviously our immune system and like our gut, they work differently. So I was afraid of like getting food poisoning. And then as for like the toilet, they told us that we were gonna have to squat a lot. So I was really scared of that. And then as for the accommodation, to be honest, when I went in there, I didn't expect us to sleep in beds. Like I was expecting us to sleep in, I don't know, on the floor, on the ground with not any like mattress. But when we actually went in there, reality was really different. We were given a really good place to sleep. There were a lot of space. They actually had bed. So I was like, yay. But as for like the toilets too, a lot of the places that we did go, like in Chinland, in like Mizoram, they did have the toilets that we were used to here in the States. So it wasn't really hard to adjust. But like smaller towns, when we went in there, we did have to squat a couple times, but we got used to it. And then as for the food, it was really good. I'm not gonna lie, the foods were really good, but I will say I did get food poisoning in Chinlong, which wasn't very fun, but that was an experience. Those were my expectation versus reality. I want to go back to like my first reaction when we went there, because I was really surprised by the breathtaking views, the hills and the valleys and the natures. They were absolutely beautiful. I think that's one of the things that I will never forget. And the reason why I want to go back, it's like one of the reason is the breathtaking views. And then the hospitality was also really good. We were very much loved. I felt like we received a lot of love, even though we didn't deserve it. People were really kind. They went out of their way to, I guess, to welcome us, even though they didn't have much. And they were really eager to meet us and to serve us. So I was really thankful for that. Like I said earlier, I went on to this trip with an open mind. I didn't know anybody on like any personal level. So I was just like, we're just going to go. We're just going to go and see how things play. To answer that, I would just say, don't have too much expectation and just kind of go there with open mind and just do as you're told. There were a couple times when things didn't go as scheduled. Even with those things happening, I didn't let that bother me. I was just super grateful to be there and really excited to learn everything. So I would say just go there, open your mind and open yourself to learn a lot of things.
Thank you so much, Lily. Okay, all right, Suksum. So
Please.
before going back to Chinland, what did you expect and how did the reality differ from those expectations? And also, how did you adapt when things didn't go as planned?
Before going back to Chinland, I honestly didn't have many expectation because the situation in the country has changed so much since I left, and the reason for returning were very different this time. I do have one thing I didn't expect was that people would be sad, down, and depressed. I thought the suffering would have taken away people's hope. But when I got there, the reality was so different from what I imagined. Despite the pain and hardship they face every day, there was this undeniable sense of hope in everyone's eyes. And I was so happy to see that. And I also thought that I would be the one who encouraged them, given all they've been through. But in reality, it was the people there who encouraged me. It was them who reminded me to never give up, to stand strong, and to keep pushing forward until we achieve the victory. And this one, I want to share this, and it's a funny one. So, and it is one thing I had to quickly adjust to, which is the bathroom situation. So, growing up in Hakka, I thought I knew what to expect, but I was so wrong. Like, I had to use the squat toilet, and it was a whole different experience than what I was used to. To use the bathroom is harder than it looked. Using bathroom in Chinland was so hard for me. And I'm just like, wow, you need to have a strong thigh to make it work, especially when you are there for a while. I had to adjust quickly, but that one time was really painful and discomforting.
Maria, I want to ask you the same question.
Well, this is my first time going back to Chinland. If I were to be honest, I didn't really know what to expect at all. All I could think of is how bad the road will be. Am I gonna get car sick? How am I supposed to use restroom while traveling? So those were my concern. And then, but when I got there, I would say that everything was new to me And maybe it's with the people that I travel with or the drivers, they were so nice. I would say that my experience was not as bad as how people would describe it. One thing that surprised me the most is that how kind, generous they were, the people in the Chinland. My parents always tell me to welcome the guests and give them the best that we have at home. And I thought that they were just trying to be like nice and then impress the guests that we have, but actually, it is not. It is our culture. It is who we are, and then that's one thing that I learned, and then that stood out to me the most, and that's something that I want to practice throughout my whole life.
Okay, now I want to know more about youth participation in transformative initiatives. Right now, it's with the war going on and things are changing, but at the same time, you guys went there, you guys also contribute a lot, which really benefit during these time of hardship. So my question to you is, why is it important for young people to actively engage in trip and project like this? How do these trips influence young people understanding of the ground reality and their ability to create change?
So I do think that it is very important for young people to go on to trips and projects like this because even with me personally, I connected with this trip on a deep level. It was a very transformative experience for me. Being surrounded by your own people speaking your languages also motivated me to improve my speaking skills. And then when you go there and you witness the progress and the beauty of your land and your people, also for me personally deepen my spiritual connections to God because you're able to see all the changes that has happened, the beauty, people working together, the nature that you don't really get to see here in a Western countries because our cultures and the way that we run things are a little bit different. What I want to say is like the diversity of God's work. Not only that, the journey also taught me a value of patience and pushing myself out of my comfort zone. When I actually graduated from nursing school 2 years ago, since then I have been working just full time. So I am not gonna lie, I feel like I haven't been myself. I've just been really exhausted. But going back to Chinland helps me motivate and like want to do better in my life and not just like work full time. Like it makes me want to do things outside of work. How can I contribute to my people, my land, and how can I just be helpful and useful in life? So yeah, I do hope that in the future, young people, Chin youth, are given opportunities like what I had to go back so that they can learn more about their culture, learn the importance of embracing their root and why it's important for them to contribute to Chinland. To add more onto that, I think that when you go onto these trips, you are not alone. You are working in a group, in a team of people. There are people surrounding you. So it also helps improve your social skills, such as the way you interact with people, team building, communication, and sharing. So there is a lot of benefits when you go on to trips and projects like this. So I hope that more people get to go. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Maria. I know Lily mentioned getting out of your comfort zone. People are willing to do what they wanted to do, right? Same questions for you. Why is it important for young people to actively engage in a trip like this? And how do these trips influence young people understanding the ground reality and the ability to create the change in our country?
Thank you. I think it is important for young people. As long as you consider yourself young, I think it helps me to do better in what I do. And so that I know what I'm doing and be confident in the skill and the services that I will be providing them to meet the needs of the people in Chinle. So I found my purpose again. So, sometimes it is easy for us to take advantage of our life in the US because we are living in a comfortable lifestyle, having our own car, driving and going anywhere we want. The restaurant, they're open 24/7. We have access to food, water, internet 24/7. We take it for granted, and then life can seem so boring. It is very easy for us to lost in life. Sometimes it is easy for us to forget why we living, what is our purpose in life. So personally for me, after taking this trip, it helps me find purpose of my life, and I want to do better and Thank you.
You know, if you look at people who went back to Chinland, you will see a deep impact it has on our lives. It changes you, and I believe that is enough to show why it is so important for young people to engage in trip and project like this. It gives you a sense of purpose and a connection to your roots that you can get anywhere else here. That's why we need more opportunities like this where young people can apply to go back and serve. It is not realistic to tell young Chin people who grow up here to go back to Chinland when they don't even know what the culture like there. So I think by creating this kind of opportunities will only benefit them and benefit our people. So opportunity like this is needed. This is something our leaders should really invest in. If they create more opportunities for young people, it will make a big huge differences. It will help them understand the needs of our people better and also give them the tool to make real change. So the more young people get involved in this, the stronger and more connected our future will be. So it is not just about helping now, but it is also about building a better future for the next generation for Chin people. More opportunity like this is needed.
All right. I want to go back to Lily. Lily, the question I have for you is, what were the biggest challenges you faced during your research or work in Chinland while you were doing this? How did you overcome them? And what inspired you the most during your trip? You meet a lot of people, you guys go to villages and things like that, right? And what kind of lessons did you learn from overcoming these challenges that you would share with others?
So personally, I don't think I faced any big challenges with our return back to Chinland or with the work that we did, which is our research. But I guess the only challenge we really had was time, because with my health team, our goal was to get documents of like the healthcare clinics and organization, their procedures and their objectives. A lot of these small organizations back in Chinland, they don't really have documents like here in the West, because in the West, everything is legalized. So you need to have documentations for everything. That would be the same in Chinland when we went in there. But a lot of these small organizations and hospitals, they don't really have documents that we could have gotten as we were wanting to. They don't have copy of them. Another one of our team's goal was to assess the mental health services provided to the people in Chinland, which we later learned that there's not a lot of mental health services that are being provided in Chinland. And so with the time constraint limited that we have and not being able to get all of the documents that we wanted to, we did move on to our plan B, which was to just really focus on what these organization and clinics and hospital are like for, what they're doing about them, and the services that they do provide. So what inspired me the most is seeing a lot of young people volunteering, giving up their life, giving their time and energy for Chinland. It also makes me question about my purpose in life and what I've done for my people, for my land. How can I be a better person?
All right, Maria, I want to ask you the same question, and you can also talk about your other experience during the trip, okay?
I would say that the biggest challenge is not only me, but as a team that we face during our trip or work in Chile was not knowing what our next schedule will like, and not knowing the agency that we wanted to visit, or the people that we wanted to meet, like not knowing their availability. I would say that was the biggest challenges for us. And in the other hand, all of us, it was our very first time. We all have to show grace to ourselves, including three of us and our leaders and other brothers and sisters who were on this trip, because it was our very first time, and what we expected and what we imagined is completely different in reality. I would say that how do we overcome those would be just letting go of our expectations, letting go of our plans. And for my team, we are a education team, and then we meet every week for, I would say, 2 months every week, and then we created a survey that will help us collect data for parents, teachers, and students regarding their education and their goals and their experience regarding the education. And we revised it over and over again, and that is reasonable for the people there. We ended up not using that survey at all throughout the whole trip due to not being able to have enough time to have discussion or meet with the parents, teachers, and the student. Like, we didn't really have time to sit and did that survey. I cannot speak on behalf of them, but this is just my opinion, is that we all overcome that challenges by just letting go of our plans and go with the flow. Just as Lily mentioned, we just observe and just taking all the information as much as we can and just ask them questions when time allows. One thing that I would like to encourage or share the people who are going on a trip similar to us in the future is be confident in your ability, be confident in yourself, and be confident in your knowledge. You are capable, like more than what you think of yourself, because it is a different country meeting with people from different background, and then we don't know what they went through. So it is impossible for us to fully understand their experience. So just be confident and just be present for them and just do your best. And also is that show grace to yourself, and it is okay. People are kind. Just do your best.
I know earlier you mentioned about, the condition of the soldier and the people. I know this is such a very short period of time that you guys went there. You were doing a lot of ministry work and things like that. So, same question to you. What were the biggest challenge you faced doing these research that you guys were doing, and what lesson did you overcome from these challenges?
Thank you for the question, Welvin. One of the challenges I faced during my time in Chinland was when our soldiers shared their stories and the trauma they experienced. Listening to them about the pain and not being able to do anything for them really broke my heart. I didn't know how to comfort them or what to say to encourage them. I was really afraid that I might say something that would hurt them more and make them feel misunderstood. So that was one of the challenges that I have. Another challenge I faced was the feeling that I might be a burden to them. Here I was coming from the US, not fully understanding what they were going through. I worried that they might feel discouraged or overwhelmed by my presence. I feared that they might feel like they had to take care of me, or that I would just add more weight to their already heavy shoulders. I can say that I was able to overcome these challenges after seeing how much they actually appreciate us being there. Even though they were going through so much, they welcomed us with open arms. I could see the smiles on their face and feel the warmth in their hearts. Just the fact that we came all the way from the US meant so much to them, and we can see that. And it was one of the things that lifted their spirit. What inspired me the most during the trip was seeing how the soldier and the people never complained, no matter what happened. I had a chance to talk to a few soldiers, and when I asked them what they wanted most from their brothers and sisters in the US, they said just one thing, which is weapon. Like, they didn't ask for food, clothes, or money. They simply want enough weapon to keep fighting. That really hit me. They didn't care about what food they had, how little clothes they were, or where they slept. They just wanted to be able to protect our people and our country. And that really inspired me. It made me realize how often I take things for granted in my comfortable lives. These soldiers, despite having so little, were still so focused on their mission and never gave up. It really reminded me that sometimes the most inspiring people are the ones who have the least, but still give everything they have. I do learn a lot of lessons, but that is one of the things that really inspire me. I learned that sometimes just being there is enough. When you didn't have the right word to say to the soldier or wasn't sure how to comfort them, I realized that my presence meant a lot. Praying with them and sharing the word of God gave them the comfort. And offering the listening ear is another powerful way to show love. And the second thing I learned is that you don't need to have everything figured out to help. I keep thinking of like Proverbs 3:5, where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not your own understanding. When I went to Chinland, I didn't have all the answer, but I learned that God doesn't call us to be perfect. He calls us to be faithful. trust God and take action. I went there thinking I need to know exactly what to say or do to make a difference. But really, the soldier and the people didn't expect perfection. They just wanted to know that we care and that we were there for them and that we're willing to stand for them.
Now that you live there for a couple weeks, you've seen things, you want to encourage and inspire the youth, or even going back there for a couple of times again. How do you personally aim to inspire and encourage other youth to contribute to Chinland and similar efforts? And also, I want to ask you is, what would you say to young people who are hesitate about stepping into these roles?
I would just say, don't be afraid or hesitate. Just go. Just challenge yourself. Just do it. See how it goes, and then learn from it. Just know that you are important and you are needed. So don't say, "Oh, I'm useless. I have no talent. There's nothing that I can do." Just go there. See what you can do. And I am 100% sure there is a lot that you can do. So that's what I would tell them. Thank you.
Same question to you. How do you personally aim to inspire and encourage other youth to contribute to Chinland and similar efforts? What would you say to young people hesitate about stepping into these roles?
I would say that, of course, we are all called to do different things in life, and then we all have a different interest, and there's nothing wrong for not wanting to do what we are passionate to do if that's not your calling. But if you are someone that who thought of, oh, maybe I should go on this trip, but what if you are in that situation, I would like to encourage you to just pray about it, talk to people who have been on a trip like this, try to gain knowledge and learn, talk to them about their experience. And there's no such thing as you will be well prepared to take this trip. If I were to go again to Chinland next year, I might prepare differently, but that doesn't mean that I'll be well prepared for my trip. Trust your calling, pray about it, and connect it with people. Just pack and go. Of course, unless you have this safety concern and then you're worried about your safety, then I would strongly suggest that you talk to your parents about it, because when I went to this trip, our leader told us that, hey, if something were to happen to you, it is on you. And I was like, yeah. I didn't really know what that meant, to be honest, because after taking that trip and reflecting, there is a war going on in the country and our safety were not promised. But I think trusting God and trusting the leadership of our leaders, I think that what make it possible for me to go on a trip like this. So I just don't want you to think too much. Just take advantage of it while you are a student. You have time. You may not have money. We did not have money too, but it is okay. And for me, this trip is gonna last a lifetime and it is worth it. Before going to this trip, I have seen people organizing fundraising and asking for donations. I do not fully understand their passion. It's not something that I even give myself time to think. But after taking this trip, I don't even have to know their vision and goal. I just donate as much as I can, because I trust them and I trust their passion. Because right now, all the girls, the 13 of us, have a Instagram page and it's called Together for Chinland. We recently did a fundraising for female soldiers and trainers in Chinland City. We were able to raise more than $3,000 with the help of and support of our friends and our loved ones. So we were able to send all those money to give them something for Christmas. After going on that trip, I can understand and I share the passion of people who are organizing fundraising. If you are confused and don't understand why other Chin youth are passionate about connecting to their roots and supporting the people back in Chinland, I would strongly suggest that you take the opportunity to go on a trip like this so that you will understand where the passion came from. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Uelvin. Personally, I aim to inspire and encourage other youth to contribute Chinland by leading through example and sharing what I learned along the way. I want to encourage young people to realize that contribution isn't always about money or big project. It can be about using your time, your skill, your passion, or even just offering a listening ear. Sometimes it's a simple act that means the most to people who are struggling, whether it is through fundraising, volunteering, or even prayers. So everything that you do count. And I also want to encourage young people to go back to Chinland to experience it for themselves. Sometimes we only understand the full reality of what's going on when we see it with our own eyes. So, I thought I understood what our people needed from afar, but being on the ground made me realize how much more there is to do and how deeply they need our support. So young people who grow up here in the US have so much to offer, whether it is through skill, education. So please go back to Chinland and see it for yourself. If you are someone who are hesitant about stepping into this role, I totally understand the hesitation. I felt it myself before going back to Chinland for this project. I had a lot of doubts. I wasn't sure if I was prepared or if ever be able to make an impact. But what I learned is that, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the call. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You just need to be willing to step forward, even if it's a small step. Our people in Chinland are waiting for us to come back home. They need our help. They need us to be part of this. They are sacrificing everything for our country. If they can risk their life, what can you do in return? That's a question we should ask every day. The opportunity to make a difference isn't in front of us. Let's not wait for the perfect time, because the time is right now. And right now is when you can make that change.
Thank you, so very inspirational. Before I go back to the question, I want to ask Maria a real quick question about the projects that you guys do. I see that the title of the documentaries that you guys made, it's called Gansan. Can you briefly talk about Gansan and what is it about? What are you guys are working on then?
Thank you. I am not sure if I will be able to explain in details because I was not part of the making this documentary. But one thing I can tell you is that in this documentary, you will be able to see the beauty of Chinland and the people that we met. You will be able to witness the soldiers and their daily life and what does the training looks like, what kind of food and their living situations and the real life ongoing or current situation of the people in Chinland. Yeah, you'll be able to see the daily life and the struggle that people face back in Chinland. The title is Kansan, which means it is in Hakka, which means our time. So I want to promote this documentary by saying that for youth, this is our time to giving back with everything we can, our time, our energy, our knowledge, our skills, and everything. For adults who are listening, it is your time. I would say, you can say for yourself, it is our time to uplift the youth by creating opportunities, by supporting whatever they can do so that they can give back to our people in Chinland. And you can request this documentary on Chin Baptist Churches of the United States Youth Department on Facebook, and then you can just message them on Instagram, on Facebook, and you can request this documentary. Thank you.
Is there going to be another project like this in the future? And then if people want to join, how can they join on projects like this?
Well, if you follow CBCUSA Youth Department on social media, you will see the announcement. Yes, they're planning a trip like this again. They call it second phase. So yes, there will be an opportunity for next year, not only to Chinland, but also an internship opportunity to Malaysia as well. So I would strongly suggest that if you are interested, you don't have to speak like Hakka, Tentlang. You can speak any dialect in Chinland. And as long as you identify yourself as a Chin and then your mother church is under CBC USA, then I think you are eligible to apply for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. All right, so we're getting to the last question before we end our panel discussion. So I want to go back to Lily. We talk a lot about the trip and things like that, but people who are there are fighting for revolution. And as a Chin Youth. What words of encouragement do you have for the youth and revolutionaries working tirelessly for Chinland's future? And how can we sustain hope and momentum in the face of ongoing challenges that we have right now?
Yes, so for the youth and revolutionary worker tirelessly for Chilean's future, I would like to thank them for their commitment and working tirelessly for Chinland. I also want to tell them how proud I am of them and that they are doing a really great job and they are making a history that will be remembered for generations to come. So I would tell them to not lose hope and have faith. You know, as a believer of Christ, I think our biggest hope and faith should be in Christ. So don't lose our hope and keep our faith. Thank you.
So, Sung, I want to ask you the same question too. While you were there, you met our soldiers too. And I know you probably have some words of encouragement that you already said to them. For those of us who are listening and people who are watching on the internet, what words of encouragement do you have for the youth who are tirelessly working for the future? And how can we sustain hope and momentum in the face of ongoing challenges?
To all the youth in Chinland, right now you are going through something so hard to understand. The challenge you face are heavy, and at times it may feel like the world is against you. But I want you to know that we are praying for you and we are standing with you in this fight. You may be facing a dark time, and we are facing a dark time right now, but we will win this war. We will rebuild, and you, the young generation in Chinland, will be the one to lead us through it. We are with you, lifting you up in our prayers and believing that God will give us the victory. So keep going, don't give up, stay strong, and your strength today will lead to the victory we all hope for. And to the revolutionaries working entirely for Chinland future, I want to begin by giving you the highest respect and honor for all of your sacrifice for our people and country. You are giving everything you have, your time, your energy, and your life, so that our people one day live in freedom and peace. I want you to remember that every action you take, every blood, every sacrifice you make is a step forward to freedom and peace that will one day come. Your fight is not just for your generation, but for the generations to come. So never give up and have faith that God will one day give us the victory. As a believer, our faith is our only hope. When things seem impossible, we must remember that God has a plan for us. His promises are true. He will guide us through the darkest time. So it is important to understand that the timing of our victory may not be what we expect, but God's timing is always perfect. So in difficult time, we may feel that things are taking too long or that we are not seeing the progress we want, but remember that we must trust God, that God is at work even when we cannot see it. Also, I believe that unity is the key to sustaining our hope and momentum in the face of ongoing challenges. We all need to come together in unity. Right now, we cannot afford to be divided, whether by opinion, background, or circumstance, or qua, or villages, or tribes. The challenge we face require all of us to stand together, to support each other, and to keep moving forward as one. When we stand together and when we are united, we will win this sooner. But if we don't, it might take a little bit longer. So it is so important that we are united. Unity doesn't mean we will all agree on everything, but it does mean that we will put our differences aside for the greater good. We must focus on what united us, which is our love for our people, our desire for a free and peaceful Chinland, and our commitment to the future of our children. So when we come together with one heart, with one mind, we can do anything. We become unstoppable, and we will win this a lot sooner. Thank you so much.
The encouragement that I want to give it to the youth is that, as I mentioned before, we are all called differently. And people who are called to grab a weapon and fight, they will do that. And you don't have to feel guilty for not having that desire or willingness to do that. It is totally, completely okay. And if you are called to study, just continue with your study as well. Because in order to have or rebuild our Chinland, we are going to need a lot of people who are working in different fields. So whatever you do right now, please pursue your passion and goal that you have in life, because one day we can all come together, work together with whatever we can bring it on the table. And for the workers or soldiers that are giving their lives and giving their time without gaining anything for their family and even for themselves, like Sung Sung said, I give you guys the highest respect. And I'm so honored and proud to have a brave and passionate individuals like you guys who are selfless and not even having a second thoughts to give up yourself for the country and the people. That is so inspiring, and we will never forget you guys. We may not know your name, we may never see each other again, but always know that every little things that you do will be remembered and it will never be wasted. One day when we got a freedom, I want you to remember that you are part of it. I would say that in order for us to be hopeful is that ask yourself a question. Why did you make that decision to be part of it? What makes you decide to do what you're doing right now? Always go back to the first decision that you make and stick with it. Because if you keep thinking or question yourself, you're gonna get a different and millions decisions that you could have made, and it is not gonna be helpful. Of course, it is very easy for us to say it, but I would strongly want to encourage you that do not doubt yourself. You made the right decision, and we respect that decision and keep holding on to that and then fight until the end. And one day we will win this war because of the decision that you make. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on our social media platforms. We would want to do things, interview and panel discussion like this in the future again and again. So please share our videos and stuff. So thank you so much. We hope to see you guys again. Thank you so much to all the fans that are watching, and have a great night, everybody.